At the beginning of the story, we can see no one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century that our world was being watched by intelligences greater than our own, yet across the gulf of space intellects regarded our planet with envious eyes. And slowly but surely drew their plans against us. Our story begins with Ray Ferrier, a man who works moving containers. Ray leaves in a hurry to pick up his son Robbie and daughter Rachel, who will be staying with him while Ray's ex-wife Marianne goes with her new partner Tim. Robbie is now watching TV. He sees in the news that they're talking about an electromagnetic pulse which causes a temporary interruption of all electrical current within its field. As in Ukraine, there are scattered reports that the electromagnetic pulse there was followed by seismic activity on the scale of an earthquake. Then Ray goes outside to play with his son, but he reminds him that he must finish a report before Mary and picks him up. Robbie feels annoyed by this because Tim is who's actually paying for his education, and he hates coming to his dad's place. This makes Ray crush his window with the ball. Ray says that he'll be going to sleep, and Rachel worries about what they'll eat in the morning. Ray asks Rachel for Robbie. She tells him that Robbie took his car, so Ray goes out to get him, but Ray notices how strange the sky looks, so he goes to the backyard to get a better view. All the neighbors are taking a look as well. The wind is so strong, but what caught Ray's attention is that the wind is blowing toward the storm. But suddenly the wind stops and the lighting hits. Ray and Rachel run inside the house. Ray tries to reassure his daughter that they'll be fine, because lighting doesn't strike twice in the same place, but just as he says that, same thing happens once the lighting strikes cease. Ray goes outside and finds Robbie, who tells him that he's all right, but the car stopped working, and not just his car, but everyone's car isn't working anymore. Ray tells Robbie to go inside the house and take care of her sister. Ray walks the streets to see if he can find answers, but there are only more questions. When he sees how the lighting landed on a certain spot, creating a hole, Ray grabs a piece of rock and notices how, opposed to what he thought, the rock feels freezing. Then they feel how something down there is moving. Everyone backs up and suddenly the buildings break until the hole collapses, and out comes a monster that shoots lightning. It's electrocuting everyone on its way. Ray is able to make it back home, and he tells his kids that they need to leave as soon as possible. Ray takes someone's car. Manny, who's responsible for the car, asks them to get out. Ray tells Manny to get in the car, or else he'll die. Rachel is very upset and sees how the monster is now close to them, so before anything happens to them, Ray closes the door and takes off. Robbie wants to know everything about what's happening. Ray tells him that the machine was buried under the ground, but the thing that operates could have come down with lighting. Ray arrives at Marianne's house. Rachel and Robbie start looking for their mom and Tim, but no one's home, and that could be because they're on their way to Boston to get to Marianne's mother's house. Robbie tries calling them, but the lines are dead. Ray makes them some sandwiches, but Rachel tells him that he forgot that she's allergic to peanut butter, and none of them are hungry to sleep. Ray takes them down to the basement, where he thinks they'll be safer. Ray wanted to stay up all night, but he eventually fell asleep and got awakened by a loud sound. There's lighting outside, and the house shakes. Ray tells them that they must leave the basement. Suddenly the window breaks, and an explosion happens. When things have calmed down, Ray goes outside to see that an airplane collided with a bunch of houses. Ray takes their kids away from there and plans to get them to Boston. Rachel tells her dad that she needs to pee, so pulls over but tells them that they need to stay vigilant because someone might want to steal the car, as very few cars are working right now. Rachel goes to the river and sees a bunch of corpses floating. Ray approaches her and covers her eyes, taking her back to the car. The military passes by and Robbie asks them to take him with them because he doesn't want to be with his dad anymore, who he believes never really cared about them. Robbie says that they're only going to Boston because he hopes that their mother is there so he can dump them with her. Ray keeps driving until he gives the wheel to Robbie, who wakes him up until they see a bunch of people who are blocking their way. Is forced to speed up and eventually crushes. The people are so desperate to get in that they break the windows. Suddenly Ray loses sight of Robbie, and only with his gun he's able to get the attention of the people. Robbie appears, but another man points his gun at Ray, ordering him to give him his car. Ray drops the weapon and takes Rachel away. Then they go to the Hudson River, which is where everyone seems to be heading because the power is still on there. A woman named Cheryl, who knows Ray, approaches him with her daughter Nora, but when they hear a loud sound and turn their heads, they see that the monster has arrived. They're forced to take the ramp off, cutting the way for many people. The soldiers tell Ray that they cannot let him or his family in, but Ray moves around it and gets in. However, Cheryl and her daughter are left behind, and the captain starts the boat, but Robbie decides to be brave and help the people who are still hanging on the edge, but the monster is now super close to them, making the boat throw the passengers. Ray, Robbie, and Rachel swim until they get to the shore, but Robbie runs when he sees that the military has arrived. He wants to help, and even though Ray doesn't want him to go, he can't hold him back. A huge explosion happens with all the attacking from the monsters. Ray and Rachel find shelter in someone's basement. After a while the whole place shakes, and the man who is giving them shelter, named Harlan, tells Ray that they're going to fight the monsters. Ray is not so sure about this because he wants to take care of his daughter. The machine enters their place. It seems to be looking for something. Harkin grabs an axe, but Ray tells him not to do anything. However, he makes a noise that alerts the machine that somebody might be there. Ray places a mirror so that the machine only sees its reflection, and just when it seemed that it was going to leave, Rachel stretches her leg, alerting the machine, so she takes the boot off and they run to trick the machine. Once it's gone, they turn the lights off and the monsters come inside, this time without the machine. Harlan wants to shoot them, but Ray tries to stop him. Suddenly the monsters hear a sound and they leave the place. The scene that's going on outside seems unbelievable. The monsters kill a man and drop and suck his blood through some tubes. Harlan is being super loud, so Ray tells him to be quiet or else the monsters will get them. Harlan hits him, and this is Ray's key to doing something. Ray covers Rachel's eyes and tells her to sing. Ray gets in the room and kills Harlan. Rachel and Ray seem to be calmer now until the machine enters the shelter again, getting Rachel scared. Ray hits the thing as much as he can, but Rachel runs away. Ray gets out of the house to find her everything's covered in blood. The machine appears in front of Ray, so he tries to get away in a car, but the thing pulls him. Ray can hear the sound of his daughter crying. Rachel is just a few meters away from him, but the monster grabs her before Ray can get there. However, he won't give up just yet. Ray finds some grenades and throws them at the monster, which actually gets him and puts him inside a trap alongside other people. A tube comes down, grabbing one of them. Ray is able to see Rachel again, and when the tub comes down, he makes sure to protect her, and this time, when they see that someone else is getting eaten, they try to pull the person down. Eventually the person is saved, and Ray uses another grenade. The machine collapses, and the people that were trapped are able to escape. Now Ray and Rachel are heading to Boston. Then Ray notices how in a sculpture the red thing that was everywhere is now gray, turning to dust, meaning that the monster is dying. Ray asks one of the officials from the military if they did anything to the monster. The official replies that they didn't even touch it, but it was walking in circles, and then it went down on its own about an hour ago. Ray and Rachel are about to get in the tunnel, but Ray tells one of the officials to look at how the birds are standing on the monster, which means that it's got no shield. The military fires several javelins at the monster until it comes down. Then the door from the machine opens, liberating a bunch of liquid. Then the monster drops dead. Finally, they have made it. Rachel runs to hug her mother,